In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 NBA games happening on February 3rd, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Utah Jazz versus Indiana Pacers. The Utah Jazz head into Gainbridge Fieldhouse to face the Indiana Pacers on Tuesday night. Road trip, new gym, same pressure. The Jazz are coming off losses to the Nets and the Raptors, with the Hawks waiting for them next. They have dropped 15 of their last 18, which is rough no matter how you spin it. It starts to feel less like a slump and more like quicksand when every close game slips away. The Pacers, on the other hand, beat the Hawks, fell to the Rockets, and have the Bucks up next. They have taken 3 of their last 5, so the recent mood in that locker room is very different. Winning 3-5 may not sound electric, but compared to what Utah is dealing with, it feels pretty solid. The Jazz are still without Georges Niang, Walker Kessler, Keontae George, and Jusuf Nurkic. The Pacers are still missing Tyrese Halliburton and Obi Toppin. Both teams are shorthanded, but the Jazz are especially thin in key spots, and that weighs on them mentally as much as physically. Sometimes you just want one clean win to reset your brain and remind yourself you are not terrible at your job. Utah could really use that kind of emotional reset, but they have been ice cold lately and open up as underdogs against a Pacers group that is trending upward. They were actually quite competitive in a narrow loss to the Rockets last night, which hints there is still some fight there even if the standings suggest otherwise. That kind of effort can carry over, especially when a team is tired of being laughed off the floor. The Pacers are slowly getting healthier, and they are back at home, where 10 of their 13 wins this season have come. Home comfort matters, from the shooting sightlines to the simple routine of sleeping in your own bed. The Jazz have been bad and banged up, and that combo usually screams stay away. However, that does not automatically make laying points with the Pacers attractive when they are in the favorite role on the second leg of a back-to-back. They are just 3 wins to 4 losses straight up as a favorite this season. One of those losses was back in November against this same Jazz team, in a game where Utah dropped a wild 152 points. And while the Jazz barely win outright, they sit at a profitable 26-24 against the spread this season. So with a rest advantage for Utah and no real pattern of steady dominance from Indiana when they are expected to control games, the situation tilts toward the dog covering rather than the favorite cruising. As our first pick for this matchup, the Utah Jazz to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Jazz are averaging 119 points per game on 46.8% shooting, while allowing 127.8 points on 49.3% shooting. Their offense is functional and often lively, but their defense leaks points from every angle. They knock down 35% of their threes and hit 80.3% at the free throw line, which keeps their offense afloat even when the shots inside get messy. They also grab 44 rebounds per game, so they usually have enough possessions to hang around in up and down games. The Pacers' numbers paint a slightly different picture, with a quieter scoring output but a similar story of defensive strain. They are averaging 110.7 points per game on 44.5% shooting and giving up 118.4 points on 48.3% shooting. From 3, they sit at 34.4%, and at the line they hit 76.9%. They pull down 43.1 rebounds per game, so they are right there with Utah on the glass, which matters for second chance points and late possessions. All of that sounds like a recipe for a high-scoring game at first glance, with both defenses getting torched and both offenses competent enough to punish mistakes. But here is the thing, those inflated allowed points per game numbers can sometimes hide game environments that swing wildly, especially when tired legs show up on one side and pace drags for stretches. On a back-to-back spot and with key offensive pieces still missing, the rhythm can get choppy, possessions can slow down, and shot selection can slide from confident to forced. Even teams that usually want to run can slip into tired half-court sets. That mix of uneven efficiency, recent fatigue, and the chance for longer, messy trips without clean looks creates a path where the scoring falls short of what those season averages suggest on paper. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. New York Knicks versus Washington Wizards. The New York Knicks roll into Capital One Arena to face the Washington Wizards on Tuesday night. Hot team, shaky host, and just enough chaos to make things interesting. The Knicks are coming off wins over the Trail Blazers and the Lakers, and they have the Nuggets on deck. They have stacked 6 straight wins, which says a lot about how locked in they are on both ends right now. Confidence travels, and this group is clearly playing with plenty of it. The Wizards, meanwhile, beat the Kings, then fell to the Lakers, and they see the Pistons next. They have dropped 39 of their last 54 games, which is brutal to read and even tougher to live through as a locker room. There have been flashes, but the larger pattern is still a team that struggles to string together solid four-quarter efforts. The Knicks remain without Miles McBride and Mitchell Robinson. The Wizards have ruled out Trey Johnson, Cam Whitmore, and Tristan Vukcevic, and Anthony Gill is listed as questionable. So both sides are short-staffed, but New York has shown it can absorb missing pieces and still function at a high level, while Washington is still trying to figure out which lineups it really trusts. Given that recent form, it made sense that the Knicks were always going to open as clear road favorites in this matchup. With the way they are playing, it honestly would not be shocking if they won by more than 30 points if everything snowballed early. However, the Wizards have actually shown signs of life over the last 4 games, playing with more edge and a bit more purpose. Sometimes a struggling team just hits a small pocket of rhythm, and that alone can be enough to keep games more competitive than people expect. With New York riding a long streak and possibly glancing ahead to a much tougher opponent next, there is room for a mild letdown spot where Washington scraps, hangs around, and keeps this one inside single digits by the final horn. As our first pick for this matchup, the Washington Wizards to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The Knicks are averaging 117.5 points on 47% shooting and giving up 112.7 points on 46.2% shooting. They are hitting 37.7% from 3 and 79.1% at the free throw line, while pulling down 46.3 rebounds per game. That combination of efficient shooting, strong perimeter accuracy, and dominant work on the glass usually means extra possessions and second chance points, which all feed into higher totals. On the other side, the Wizards are averaging 112.3 points on 45.6% shooting and allowing 122.3 points on 47.2% shooting. They knock down 35.3% from beyond the arc and 77.6% at the line, and they collect 44.1 rebounds per game. So you have a team that can score at a respectable clip but struggles badly to slow anyone down, which often turns their games into track meets whether they like it or not. Put those two sets of numbers together, and the pattern is pretty clear. One team scores efficiently and controls the boards, the other plays in games where opponents routinely post big numbers, and neither profile screams slow, grind-it-out rock fight. Even if the pace dips for short stretches, the shooting percentages and free throw reliability on both sides leave plenty of room for points to pile up over 4 quarters. A stretch of hot shooting from deep or a whistle-heavy second half with frequent trips to the line can easily push the combined scoring total beyond what you might first expect just from glancing at the names on the jerseys. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Denver Nuggets versus Detroit Pistons. The Denver Nuggets visit Little Caesars Arena on Tuesday night to face the Detroit Pistons in what feels like a sneaky interesting matchup. The Nuggets just beat the Clippers, then took a loss to the Thunder, and they have the Knicks waiting next. They have won 10 of their last 15 games, so one setback does not really change the overall picture of a team that has been in a good groove. They know who they are, and that kind of stability tends to travel pretty well. The Pistons are coming in with momentum of their own after beating the Warriors and the Nets, with the Wizards up next. They have taken 20 of their last 28, which is a massive turnaround compared to the version of this team people got used to fading earlier in the season. Winning that often reshapes how a locker room walks into every game. There is a different energy when players start to expect success instead of just hoping for it. Denver is still without Cameron Johnson and Aaron Gordon, while Christian Braun has been upgraded to questionable. Detroit is monitoring Karis LeVert, who is questionable with an illness. So each side has something to manage on the availability front, but the Pistons are close enough to full strength that their main structure stays intact, and that matters when you are facing an opponent with as much offensive polish as the Nuggets usually show. The Nuggets roll into this one fresh off that tough loss to the Thunder, and that can cut both ways. Sometimes a good team responds with a sharper effort, but sometimes it just reminds you how thin the margin is when you are not completely locked in. Given how well they had been playing before that defeat, they are absolutely tempting as underdogs, especially for anyone who still instinctively trusts them more than Detroit. The Pistons, though, have quietly become one of the hottest teams in the league, and the numbers back it up. They are relatively healthy, they have built real confidence at both ends, and they get to lean on their crowd in this one. In a spot like this, with a short number and a home team that is playing with rhythm and belief, it makes sense to expect Detroit to keep control often enough to come away with a win that covers. As our first pick for this matchup, the Detroit Pistons to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Denver Nuggets are averaging 120.7 points on 49.6% shooting and allowing 116.2 points on 46.8% shooting. They are shooting 39.5% from beyond the arc and 81.8% from the free throw line. They are allowing 35% shooting from deep and are grabbing 42.3 rebounds per game. So on paper, you see strong efficiency, plenty of shot making, and just enough defensive softness to suggest there can be plenty of points in their games. The Detroit Pistons are averaging 117.4 points on 48% shooting and allowing 110.1 points on 44.2% shooting. They are shooting 35.3% from beyond the arc and 74.7% from the free throw line. They are allowing 34.8% shooting from deep and are grabbing 46 rebounds per game. That mix shows a team that scores well but actually keeps opponents in check more than people might expect, especially when you look at the opponent field goal percentage and their strength on the glass. Put all of that together, and there is an interesting contrast. The numbers hint at capable offenses, but also at a Pistons defense that can drag efficiency down, especially at home, by contesting shots and limiting second-chance looks with their work on the boards. In a game where both sides understand they might see each other again in meaningful spots down the road, there is room for more deliberate possessions, fewer transition gifts, and a bit more half-court grinding than those raw scoring averages might suggest. That kind of environment, where shot quality is contested and empty trips stack up just a little more often, points toward a total that lands lower than the surface numbers make it look at first glance. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Los Angeles Lakers versus Brooklyn Nets. The Los Angeles Lakers head into Barclays Center on Tuesday night to face the Brooklyn Nets in a matchup that looks lopsided on paper but still has a little drama baked in. The Lakers are coming off a win over the Wizards, a loss to the Knicks, and they have the 76ers on deck. They have taken 5 of their last 8 games, which is not blistering form, but it does show they are moving in the right direction more often than not. The Nets just lost to the Pacers, beat the Jazz, and see the Magic next on the schedule. They have dropped 16 of their last 19, and that kind of stretch wears on any team, no matter how tough the personalities in the locker room are. The Lakers might be short-handed again, with Austin Reeves and Bronny James both listed as questionable. The Nets have ruled out Haywood Highsmith. So one side is juggling important perimeter pieces, while the other is missing a depth option. The Lakers have not exactly been smashing everyone recently, but they were starting to warm up before the Knicks cooled them off in their last outing. On the other side, the Nets have been absolutely ice cold, and scoring just 77 points in that rough loss to the Pistons on Sunday probably did nothing good for their confidence. When a team has that kind of offensive faceplant, it lingers in the back of your mind the next time shots are not falling early. The Lakers were always going to be favorites in this matchup. That part was obvious. What is a little surprising is that the number is not bigger, given how the two teams have been trending. The hesitation comes from the fact that the Lakers do not always score with enough consistency to make laying bigger chalk feel comfortable, especially if Reeves sits and the playmaking load narrows. However, since Christmas, they have covered the spread in 5 of 6 games when favored by a decent margin, which tells you they have handled business in this role more often than not. They cannot afford to mess around in spots like this if they are serious about being a playoff team rather than drifting toward the middle. Yes, the Nets have managed to sneak in a few covers here and there, but overall they have not been good and they already have 17 home losses dragging behind them. This sets up as one of those games where the superior team should control the tempo, lean on its talent edge, and come away with a comfortable result. It should be that kind of night for the Lakers, and if they are locked in at even a solid level, it probably will be. As our first pick for this matchup, the Los Angeles Lakers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Lakers are averaging 115.9 points on 49.5% shooting and allowing 116.5 points on 48.8% shooting. They are hitting 35.1% from beyond the arc and 77.3% from the free throw line, while grabbing 41.3 rebounds per game. That mix of strong overall efficiency, average three-point shooting, and steady free throw production usually keeps their totals healthy, even when the offense does not feel explosive possession by possession. The Nets are averaging 107.9 points on 44.2% shooting and allowing 115.1 points on 49% shooting. They shoot 34.3% from deep and 78.8% at the line, and they pull down 40 rebounds per game. So you have a team that is not very efficient offensively but faces opponents that score on them at a high clip, especially from the field and from long range. Put those numbers together and a pattern starts to form. One side scores efficiently but does not guard particularly well. The other side struggles to score smoothly yet allows clean looks far too often. That combination often leads to stretches where both teams find a rhythm, even if one of them has been shaky lately. But here is the thing, even a team that has been stuck in a slump can look better against a defense that gives up nearly 40% shooting from three and close to 50% overall. There is also the free throw factor, with both teams showing decent accuracy at the line, which quietly adds points in games that might not even feel that fast. A whistle-heavy quarter, a few careless fouls on jump shooters, and suddenly the total starts climbing without a ton of highlight plays. So even if there are cold spells, the overall shooting percentages, defensive numbers, and foul line production point toward a game where the combined scoring has plenty of room to clear a typical projection. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Atlanta Hawks versus Miami Heat. The Miami Heat welcome the Atlanta Hawks to Kaseya Center on Tuesday night for a matchup that feels a bit more volatile than the records suggest. The Hawks are coming off back-to-back losses to the Rockets and Pacers, with the Jazz waiting for them next. They have still managed to win 4 of their last 6 games, so despite the recent stumbles, they are not exactly falling apart. The Heat just split a mini set with the Bulls, grabbing 1 win and taking 1 loss, and they see the Celtics next. They have won 7 of their last 12, which fits their usual pattern of looking sharp for stretches, then randomly tossing in a flat performance that makes you scratch your head. The Hawks are still without Onyeka Okongwu, with Kristaps Porzingis upgraded to questionable in this spot. The Heat have ruled out Tyler Herro, while Nikola Jovic and Norman Powell are both listed as questionable. So both rotations come in a bit dented, and that can tilt things in weird ways when role players are suddenly forced into bigger roles for longer minutes. The Hawks badly need a clean win to steady their season, but they are walking into a building where the home team is feeling very good about itself after smashing the Bulls by 43 points in its last outing. That kind of blowout does wonders for confidence. Everyone gets touches, the bench feels involved, and the film session the next day suddenly looks a lot friendlier. These teams already saw each other once this season, and the Heat rolled to a 126-111 win back on December 26th, so the memory of that result is still pretty fresh. The Heat have gone 7 wins to 3 losses straight up and against the spread in the last 10 meetings with the Hawks, which is a strong trend. Even with that, it is hard to fully trust this version of Miami from night to night, especially when important rotation names keep popping up on the injury report. The Hawks, for all their flaws, have stacked 15 road wins, which is not nothing in this league. There is also the chance they get Porzingis on the floor, which would give them another weapon and a different look. On top of that, they have pulled off outright victories in 3 of their last 4 games as underdogs, which says they have handled this role pretty well lately. Miami remains unpredictable, and nothing they do really shocks anyone anymore, good or bad. They might blow someone out, or they might vanish for 2 quarters. With that uncertainty, the idea of taking the points with a live underdog that has shown it can win in this role becomes more appealing than trying to guess which Heat personality shows up. As our first pick for this matchup, the Atlanta Hawks to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. They are averaging 117.8 points on 47.3% shooting and allowing 118.4 points on 47.5% shooting. They hit 37.1% from beyond the arc and 77.6% from the free throw line. They give up 35.4% shooting from deep and pull in 43.1 rebounds per game. So their games often feature efficient shooting on both sides, with enough threes going up and enough rebounds available to create second chance points. The Heat numbers tell a similar story at first glance. They are averaging 119.8 points on 46.4% shooting and allowing 118.3 points on 46.1% shooting. They are knocking down 36.5% of their threes and 79.1% of their free throws. They are allowing 34.9% shooting from deep and grabbing 46.3 rebounds per game. That extra work on the glass can stretch possessions, but it can also mean fewer pure transition chances if they are controlling misses. Put those stats side by side, and it is tempting to expect a free-flowing track meet with very little resistance. Both teams can score, both allow plenty of points, and the shooting percentages are healthy. Here is the thing, though, sometimes two offenses that look explosive on paper actually slow each other down when they start trading half-court possessions and adjusting to familiar sets. These teams already have some recent film on each other, and that can help coaches tighten coverages, shade help toward favored actions, and force more mid-range or late-clock looks. Fatigue from recent busy stretches, plus the nagging injuries on both rosters, can also drag pace down for stretches, even if the box score averages suggest constant motion. If the whistle shows up and both sides spend more time walking to the free throw line than sprinting in transition, it can shorten the number of true up and down possessions. When combined with slightly more focused defense and a few longer, grinding trips where shots come late in the clock, that environment can pull the total lower than those raw season scoring numbers make it seem. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.